guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. Well, today I'm back with the One Stamp at a Time blog hop, and I'm going to be doing a sneak peek. You can see these right here. These are from the Cheerful Daisies bundle and the Countryside Corners bundle. Those are two bundles that we were able to pre-order as demonstrators. And I had so much fun coming up with these. I'm also using some new colors. As you can see, you're probably thinking, boy, what colors are those? And I'll tell you those here in just a minute. Now, if you'd like to stamp along with me, just look down the blog post description and click on the link there. And then you'll find the supply list and the dimensions for everything so you can get all your stuff together and come back and make the card with me. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first off, I want to show you this bundle of the things I have right now. I don't have that many because I bought all the colors. I want to make sure I got all the new colors. But this Cheerful Daisies bundle is so pretty. When I saw it, I'm like, oh, I've got to get that. I was so glad it was on the pre-order. So I love the dies. I haven't got to use some of these special dies that are in it yet. I'm using probably the easiest way to make the flowers in the set, but there are a lot of different ways to make flowers with it. Now, if you've got the stamp set, the stamps I used was this one here, this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. I also used the stem and the leaf, and then I'm using your Friendship Means Everything. So that's everything that you need for the card, and I'll do the pouch here in a little bit. And then with the dies, I need this one here for die cut that big daisy, this one, and oh, there it is, this one. And I'm also going to need the stem and the leaf. And the next bundle I'm using is the Countryside Corners. This one's a little different than bundles we've had in the past. I really like it. This is actually one big stamp. Let me show you the stamp quick. So there's the stamp. And there are a lot of neat things you can do. You can see it goes along with the die set. And so I am using the stamp, and I'm also using the third largest die in this set. So that's the only die I'll need from this one. And I'm also using something that's already available to purchase. This is the Fern 3D embossing folder that's in the current annual catalog, and it will be in the new one coming out May 2nd. Okay, first off, I want to get some stamping done. So this is a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of basic white. I'm going to grab the largest daisy here and the Moody Mauve. This is a new in color. I love all the new colors that have come out, but the 5 in colors are, they're my favorite of the new ones, I think. But this is one, the Moody Mauve. It's going to take me a little while to get all these colors figured out. Now, when I originally stamped this, it was a little darker than what I wanted. So I'm going to stamp off and then stamp it down here. Doesn't matter where. I'm going to do it in a corner because I'll be die cutting this in just a minute. I just like the lighter version. That's what I was wanting, what I was going for. And then I also need this flower and this flower. Actually, it should be like that. This is the Bubble Bath. This is a new color. This is part of the Subtles collection. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. I'll put it about right here. And then this one is going to go right here. And I'm going to be using, for the centers, another one of the new in colors. This is Copper Clay. I'm going to grab the 2 flower centers right here. The large one, of course, will go right inside the big flower. Okay. And this littler one does both of these flowers, but I'm only going to stamp this one here first. This one I'm going to do later, and I'll explain. You'll see why in just a minute. Now I'm going to use another in color. This is the last of the 5 I'm going to be using. I'm only using 3. This is Wild Wheat. When you really look at it, it is a greenish yellow, but I think I've probably not using it with leaves, but it really does a good job with the leaves. I was really impressed. So I'm going to grab that leaf, and I need 4. So I'll just stamp these in different places here. And let's put a couple up here. Okay, so isn't that kind of a neat color for it? It's a little different for leaves, but I really like it. Oh, wait a minute. I haven't done my stem. Let's get this back out. And then here's the stem. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab another piece of basic white. It's the exact same size as that one, 4 by 5 1/4. And I am done with the wild wheat, so let's put that away. I'm going to stamp a partial version of the big flower here. And I want it to be the same as the front, so I'm going to stamp off again. I'm going to put just a partial right here in the corner. Okay. Close this one up, and then I want to get that flower center for it with a copper clay. And I will stamp it right here. And we are done with the inside of the card. Okay, we've got one more thing to stamp before we start die cutting. This is a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of basic white, the same as the other two were. I'm going to bring in that Countryside Corners stamp and my Moody Mauve. And go ahead and ink this whole thing up. I'm not going to be using the whole image. I'm going to go ahead and just ink it up. It's just a little easier that way. And then I will just stamp this close to the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be die cutting some of this out. So I'll hold this down. Just put pressure in different areas since it's a big stamp. And then lift that up. Isn't that cool? I love that. So I'll be showing you how to do something with that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and get our die cutting machine out. Okay, first off, we're going to do some die cutting. So to get this ready for die cutting, you need the platform, the base platform number 1, a die plate number 2, and a standard cutting plate number 3. I'm going to bring in all my flowers that I stamped. And then I'm going to bring this in. Now, I see that there's one here that's a little pointed, and then there are 3 right next to it that are real close together. So I think that's how that's going to line up. So whenever you have a die, line it up, just find some characteristics that are a little different from the other petals. And that makes it a lot easier to get it to line up. So we've got that one there. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. There's a flat area right here. Let me make sure I've got this in the screen. That looks kind of flat. Let's see if that's going to get it. Oh, it is. Good. So I will put this on here. I think I'm going to wait to do that flower for right now. Go ahead and grab a leaf. I'll put this one on. Whenever I put, this is Post-it tape, by the way, in case you're wondering. You can also use Post-it notes, just the adhesive part, or you can use washi tape. I suggest something in the Post-it note type adhesive because it comes off so much easier. Now I've got the stem there, so go ahead and I'm going to do it on each end so it doesn't move. And when you use the tape, this narrow one, it doesn't matter. It's wrapped all the way around. But try to get on these others tape inside the center of the die because that will wrap around the die and hold it in place a lot better. And now I'm going to grab another standard cutting plate, number 3, put it on top and run this through. Slowly take the tape up. And there's the leaf. And go ahead and leave that leaf out because I'm going to be using that a few more times here. And we've got this flower. This great big one. These daisies are so pretty. I really like them. And I can't wait to do the other variations that you can do with this set. And then we've got the stem here. Oh, if I get the tape off, there we go. Oops, I can't get a hold of it. Did it fall out? Nope, there it is. And there's the stem. Okay, now with this flower here, you put this on, you notice how there's a little hump right here. That's so you know where to stamp that flower center. I didn't want to do it ahead of time because I wasn't sure if I was going to get it in the right place. I have to admit, when I first stamped it, I did try it and it didn't line up very well. So it is definitely easier to stamp the flower, die cut it, and then stamp the center on it. And then I'll grab the leaf die again. Let's do one down here. I don't want to have them too close, the dies too close together because they end up messing each other up when you put it through the die cutting machine. Here at an angle, so I'm having a little trouble seeing where this leaf needs to go. Okay, now I'll put this on top. Now there is only one leaf die, that's why I'm having to keep doing it over and over again, but that's okay. That left more room for some more dies, so I'm okay with that. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one. So now we've got this one, so we'll be stamping that center here in a minute. And then here's the other leaf, and I've got 2 more leaves to do, so I'll just hurry up and do those, and then I'll come back. Okay, now that I'm all die cutting the flowers and the leaves, now I'm going to start using the Country Corners dies. This is that 3rd largest one I told you to get out. This is a piece of basic white that's 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. So I'm just going to put this right on top and kind of angle it a little bit. Helps if a small area goes into the die cutting machine first, it actually die cuts better, and it's less apt to warp your die. So I'm going to run this through. And we've got this one, so you can definitely just use it like this. But now I'm going to show you the neat thing you can do with that stamp. So I'm going to bring this in, that one that we stamped a little bit ago. I'm using the exact same die. Now this time I'm going to use some tape because I don't want it to move. You can see how it's going right around that stitched border here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on like so. And you know what? I forgot to get another die out. I need another one. So it's going to be the one that's right below it. The one that's just smaller than it. So we'll go ahead and run this one through. You could go ahead and do them both at the same time. I think it's a little easier to do them separate. So we grab this. And I probably, after I've had it for a little while, it'll be easier to do both. But now I'm going to get the ones just a little bit smaller and center it right around those flowers. I'm not going to be using that. I will probably keep this piece because I might want to use that in another on another card. Put this through. Oh, I forgot to put that in an angle. You hear that crack? That tends to happen when you put a flat side through the machine first. It still works, but I don't want to do that too often because that makes things pop, and it also sometimes hurts the die. And now I've got this really neat frame with my stitching around it. So that's one of the things you can do with this. It's really fun. Okay, we've got one more thing to do. I'm all done die cutting. Now we're going to do some embossing. The Fern embossing folder is a 3D folder, so all you need is that base platform on the bottom. I'm going to grab a piece of Bubble Bath. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. Here is the Fern 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to line the bottom. It really doesn't matter because the ferns are going every which way, but I still like to line it up with that line there. Fold first is how it goes in. That helps protect your folder. And then put the specialty plate on top. And for those of you that are new, all the plates I'm using do come with our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, in case you're interested. And then this is all done. I love the 3D effect with this. There's some that are a little lower and some are a little higher. Really neat dimension. Okay, we're all done with the die cutting machine, so let's go ahead and finish this card. Okay, now I've got my silicone craft mat out. I'm going to grab this little frame that I made and that label I made, the one that I didn't do anything fancy with. I'm going to bring in my multi-purpose glue. I'm going to turn this over. You can definitely use seal if you want to. I think it's just a little easier to use the glue because then you can also scoot it around a little bit before the glue dries. So I'm just going to put a strand, nice thin strand of the glue all the way around. I'm just putting it there in the middle because glue does kind of squish out a little bit. Pick this up carefully so I don't get glue on my fingers. I'm going to bring this back in. And this is just going to go right along the edges. Now I could have used a different color too, but I liked it better doing the white. But if you wanted to use a color instead, you could use the Moody Mauve. There we go. Like I said, I'm going to have trouble remembering these colors. And stamp that in the same color, the stitching, and that would look really neat too. But what I was going for, the white worked out better. So that's how you do that. Okay, now I need to do a little stamping on this. There's one more thing we need to stamp, and that's the greeting. I'm going to grab my big daisy here. And I'm going to lay it right here. I'm not going to attach it yet. I'm just going to lay it. That's about where I want it. I'm going to bring in my Moody Mauve ink pad again. And I'm going to grab the stamp that says your friendship means everything. Make sure I've got that flower about where I want it. And I'm going to stamp this right here. Hold it down. There we go. Now, as you notice, the flower is lighter, even though it's the same color, but that's because we stamped off. Now you can see I really liked it being a little bit softer look is what I was going for. So now we can go ahead and move this out of the way. We've got all the stamping done. Now I'm going to get this, so I'll get this out of the way since we're done stamping. Now I'm going to grab the card base. This is a piece of that Moody Mauve, 5.5 by 8.5. I'm going to fold this in half, get those corners lined up. Hold that down. Okay. Now I'm going to grab that piece of the bubble bath that we embossed with the fern embossing folder. And I'm going to grab a piece of this beautiful Fresh as a Daisy DSP. This pack is so pretty. I'll show you that in another video. I'm hoping to do some videos here when the catalog comes out so I can show you a lot of the new stuff. So here we've got that. So I'm going to turn this over. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. I'll definitely be able to show you a lot of the colors. Like I said, I bought more colors than I bought product right now. That will change. Don't worry. Oops. Oh, I forgot. This is a brand new one. When you get a brand new one, just kind of reel it up or roll it up. That's the word I'm trying to find. Then till the adhesive gets right there on the end and then it starts working. You've got to get it primed up a little bit sometimes. Well, especially when you start off a new refill. Okay, now this is going to go. I think I like it better going that way. So figure out which way you like the flowers looking. Really, it doesn't really matter, but we're going to go ahead and go with that. I'm going to put it all the way over here on the left side of the piece. Okay. And then I'm going to use some new in color ribbon. This is the Wild Wheat textured ribbon. I don't know if you can see the texture of that. It's really neat. And it comes in all of the new in colors. So this is a 7-inch piece. I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on each end. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap it around this right side of the DSP. I'm only overlapping the DSP just a little bit because I want most of that paper to show. But I don't want any of the bubble bath cardstock to show on the left side of the ribbon. Get some of that adhesive I just got my silicone mat out. Okay, so this is ready to go on the card base now that we've got that ribbon on there. I'm going to make sure I put some adhesive on top of that ribbon so it stays attached to my card. Put this here. Don't those colors look pretty together? So you can, this actually makes the purples and that pink come out. The bubble bath is kind of like a purplish pink, I think. And having the mauve there, that kind of shows that off. And like I said, I'm also taking the colors out of that beautiful paper. I love how the Stampin' Up coordinates things. So we've got the Moody Mauve. There's the bubble bath. There's some of the copper clay I'm using. And there's that wild wheat for the leaves. So it kind of helps you when you're trying to come up with a color combo. Okay, now I'm going to bring this in. Let's go ahead and just put this on with regular seal. And I'm not going to put it, well, no, I guess I am putting it right in the middle. For a minute, I was thinking I put it over a little bit, but it is more in the middle. You can actually line up, this is what I did, these two corners right here with the left edge, close to the left edge of the ribbon, and that'll be good. Okay, so now we've got that on there. I'm going to be putting this on with dimensionals. So I think I'll go ahead and do that now, and I'm going to put them right here in the center. That's going to give me more room so I can stick some flowers and leaves underneath it. So I'm going to put one here, one right next to it. And you know what? I want another one just so it doesn't wobble, but I don't want a great big one in case I want to put some leaves under there. So I'm going to grab my paper snips. I'm going to cut one of these. Looks like I used that whole border there, so now I'm going to use this half one right here. And that's going to give it a little more stabilization. But that way I don't have it too close to the bottom so I can stick some leaves and stuff under there. So I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool out, take those paper backings off. I scoop them up with this. That way they all stay in one place. All those paper backings don't fly all over my house. Okay, now I'm going to put this like this. I'm going to put it down lightly just in case I want to move it. If I put it down all the way, that's the dimensionals don't give. They stay on really good. This way, if it's laying there, I can lift it back up again and move it around some. So I'm going to bring this stem in. Before I liked it, you can see this little thing here. I like it going up a little bit because I'm going to put a leaf right there. I'm going to stick this in. I don't want too much of the, I am hitting in dimension. Oh, that's going to be perfect though. When I made my original, I had to clip the bottom of this just a little bit because I kept hitting a dimensional. So if that happens to you, that's what you're going to want to do. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab my silicone mat again. I could use multi-purpose glue here, but I'm just going to put some adhesive here on the bottom. I'm okay if it's a little sticky on the sides since I'm sticking it underneath the flower. And I do like it on the label a little bit. Bring it down just a little bit more. That looks good. Okay. Oh, we do have one more thing to stamp. I was getting ready to put this flower on and totally forgot. This has got enough cushion. I think I'll be okay. I'm going to grab that little flower center again and the copper clay. And then I'm just going to put it right there in that center. I have to admit the bubble bath is really light, so it's a little hard to see. But I think it's going to be just fine. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's a lot easier to do it that way than to stamp it on before you die cut. So now I've got that ready to go. I'm going to put this on with a dimensional 2. I kind of liked it popped up. I'm going to put one right here. And you know what? We're going to do another half one since that's kind of narrow right there. It's big enough. I'm thinking one, it's probably going to pop around on me. So I just want that not to wobble. When they start wobbling, they tend to fall off eventually. So we want to keep this on there good. I'm just going to put this right over this. And see how this is kind of sticking up a little bit because I didn't put any adhesive on it? Putting this on is going to keep it down. So there, we've got that there. Now I'm going to grab this flower. This is our last flower. This one I didn't want to pop this one up because I'm going to tuck it underneath this flower just a little bit. So I'm only going to put adhesive on the center part because I'm going to be sticking a leaf under this one too. But once again, I'm just going to lay it down. I'm not going to push it down real hard in case I need to move it. Plus with seal, that does give you a little bit of leeway for like 5 or 10 minutes after you put it on because it is temporary, but it won't be temporary after that. It'll be stuck for good. You'll start tearing paper if you try to lift it up. So I'm going to angle this one just a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to bring in all of the leaves. There are 4 of them. And if you want to add more, you go right ahead. So I'm just going to grab my silicone mat again because I do not want to get adhesive on this. Put some adhesive on here. I could use glue dots too, but since this is kind of big, a little bigger than our glue dots, that's why I'm using the seal. I'm going to put this one under here. Yeah, we'll put it about right there. Now, I'm fine with it being on the edge of the cardstock. I just don't want it past it. That way it'll go in the envelope. Let's grab another one here. And I'll put this one down here. Okay. So that one's ready to go. And I'm going to grab this one. Oops. There we go. And I'm going to stick this one under here. So I'm going to lift this up since I didn't put an adhesive along the edges of that flower. And oh, that looks pretty good. And the last one is going to go with that stem. And that's another reason I did the way I did it. Because if I had put glue all the way across this, then I'm going to be able to lift this up. Because I want to tuck this little point of the leaf underneath the stem just a little bit, not much. There we go. Because if you do it too much, it's going to stick out over here on the other side of the stem, and you don't want that. So that is the outside of the card done. But we do need to attach that inside. So we've got this one. Put this on the inside. Now there are some embellishments in the suite. The suite is called, I can't remember if I told you this earlier, Fresh as a Daisy suite. And the suite has the Cheerful Daisies bundle in it, along with the Fresh as a Daisy DSP. And it also has some embellishments that go along with it. And I cannot think of the name of it right now. but this time I thought it looked better without putting embellishments on it. I really liked how this turned out. So that is the card all finished. I hope you liked it. And now I'm going to make that little Ghirardelli candy pouch. That's what that is. I don't think I told you the name. Okay, now it's time to make my Ghirardelli candy bar pouch. There it is right there. Fits perfectly inside this. And this is made with the Countryside Corners dies. So like I said, everything is, the supplies and everything you need, the dimensions you need are in that video link below for my blog post. Make sure you check that out if you want to make this along with me. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm going to bring in the Cheerful Daisies bundle again. The stamps that you're going to need that small daisy with the center and the Wishing You the Brightest Birthday and the leaf stamp. And then with the dies, I'm going to use this one to die cut the flower out. And I'm also going to use the leaf. Oh, there's the leaf out of this one. And then with the Countryside Corners dies, this time I'm not using the stamp set. I'm just using the dies. I'm going to be using the second largest one. I'm going to pull out that third largest one again. And I'm also going to use the smallest one here. Now, I know this one's smaller, but I'll just call that my banner die. But this one is the smallest of the layered look. Okay, so we're done with those. Okay, we're going to get some stamping done first. This is a 2 3/4 by 1 3/4 inch piece of basic white. I'm going to bring in my Moody Mauve and that smaller flower, but the full flower in the daisy set. And I'm going to stamp off again. When I made my original, I forgot to stamp off, and I'll show you the difference here in a minute. But I want this one to match the card just a little bit better, so that's what I'm going to stamp off. So there, we've got that one ready to go. Need to do the flower center, so bring in that copper clay again, and the small flower center. I'll stamp that there in the middle. Okay. And then I also think it helps you be able to see the copper clay better, the center, when you lighten up that mauve. And I'm going to bring in the wild wheat, and this time we're going to need 2 leaves. So I've got that right there. And, 2 leaves, that's right. I said 2 leaves and just stamped 1. Think I'm going to have enough room. Oh, yeah, good. I was afraid I messed that up. There we go. So I made it a little bigger than I needed. Thank goodness. I would have had trouble with that. Okay, then we've got one more thing to stamp. This is another piece of basic white that's 1 3/4 by 1 1/4. I'm going to grab the Wishing You the happiest or brightest birthday, I think is what it says. I'm going to grab my copper clay again. And I'm not going to stamp this right in the middle. I am going to die cut this out. I'm going to go over to the right just a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. There we go. So that is all the stamping we're going to do. So let's go ahead and get the die cutting machine out. Okay, I've got this all set up for die cutting again. Base platform, die plate, and standard cutting plate. I'm going to bring in these flowers. Actually, I'm going to bring this in too. I think we can do all of this together. I'm going to grab the die here. Let's see. Oops, let's find that flat area. Oh, there we go. There's my flat area. There's the flat area. I had it upside down. Got ahead of myself there. Put this on. Put that tape on there so it doesn't move. We'll do one of the leaves. See if I get that centered. Sometimes it's a little hard to see. There we go. Just make sure that point down here doesn't show any white and you're going to be good. And this one is going to be using the smallest one here. But I want the brightest birthday to be closer to the right. Okay, and I want to make sure I see the whole image in there. The Wishing You the is what's going to help you keep it straight. So make sure it's straight in the die and real close to that top of that opening. I'm going to use 2 pieces of tape here since this is a long one. Put a standard cutting plate on top of this. Real quick. Get this off. There's our flower. Here's the leaf. Okay. I'll be doing one more leaf, so I'll just leave the die there. And this is what the greeting one should look like. I know it's real close to just fitting, but there is a little bit more room here on the left side, which is what I'm going to need. Now I'm going to go ahead and die cut this leaf, and I'll be right back. Okay, now we're going to do the base of the pouch. This is a piece of bubble bath that is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4 inches. I'm going to kind of put it in at an angle. And then I've got a piece, the same pattern picked out from the card. This is that Fresh as a Daisy, 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. Put that a little bit of an angle. So here is the second largest of those dies. Put that there. I think that's going to be just fine. I'm not going to worry about putting tape on. If it starts moving, I'll put some tape on it. And then this is the one that's just smaller. It's the third largest one. Okay. Carefully put this down. I'm going to put it at an angle, then bring it down. Perfect. So I'll run this through. So we've got this one. This is going to be the base of our pouch. And then this is going to decorate the front of the pouch. Okay, we're all done with the die cut machine, so let's put this away. Okay, we've got a little scoring to do. You could use the Simply Scored scoring tool. That'll work just as good. But I'm going to go ahead and put the cutting blade down here because this is the scoring blade. I do not want to cut. And with the long edge along the top, this straight edge here, I want to line up at the 2-inch mark. And then I'm going to score it a few times. If you've got the Simply Scoring tool, you only have to do it the one time. With this one, I tend to do it a few times to get a nice score line. Then I need to line this up at the 2 1/2-inch mark, which is right here, and score again. And that's all the scoring you need to do. Okay, first off, I'm going to go ahead and burnish these score lines. That just means to fold them because it makes it a lot easier later. So go ahead and do this. Just make sure those score lines don't flatten out on me when I start putting this together. So there we go. So now we've got that ready to be folded. I'm going to open this up again on the outside. So this, make sure the inside is facing down. I'm going to grab this piece here. I didn't bother with scoring this because it is just paper. It's not cardstock. So it's going to fold just fine once I attach it to this. But that's the reason I wanted to make sure these were folded and ready to go, so this paper doesn't mess it up at all. Put this right here in the middle. Makes a nice border around it. Those dies, the nesting part is really, really good. So now I've got that on, and you're going to see how easy it is. There we go. Those folded with no problem, being paper. So that is the base of the Ghirardelli pouch. I'm going to grab a piece of that wild wheat textured ribbon. Again, this is a 12-inch piece. I'm going to wrap it because the Ghirardelli, when you put this one in here, I could have used the next larger die, but it was just way too big. This one doesn't give me enough room because the Ghirardelli is right there. If you use something smaller, you could poke a hole through this and put your ribbon through that way. But this is how I'm going to do it so my Ghirardelli will fit. Take that 12-inch piece. I'm just going to wrap it around here to kind of get the ends close to being together. They don't have to be perfect. And I'm going to tie this on with a double knot, like so. I'm going to kind of do it here on the flat area right now because I can move this around. These are getting twisted on me. Let me get these straightened out. Once they're straightened out, then I'm going to tie another knot. There we go. And then I can kind of scoot this so the knot is on top. See, it's a little easier to do the tying on the flat area. Okay, now I'm going to pick the side that looks the best, and you know what I think this side does, because I could tell that other side was twisting it a little bit again. Now I'm going to hold on to this knot and kind of move these around. So as you can see, the 12-inch piece is plenty long enough. I do that way. If I do get a short end like this, it's still going to be long enough. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and grab my scissors while I'm at it. I'm going to cut the short one first at an angle, and I'll cut this long one, make it just about the same length. It's okay if it's not exact. Okay, and the nice thing with this, you can slide that Ghirardelli in and out, so you don't have to worry about the ribbon having to untie it. You can also slip the ribbon off too. But see, now I can put this inside with no problem. And it is a little wider than the Ghirardelli, so that's why it didn't have to be in there. You could have the Ghirardelli in there as you're tying it around it, but there's really no reason to. And it's a little easier because this will start slipping out on you. Just one more thing to have to deal with. So that's why I did it this way. So I've got that there. I'm going to bring in my pretty flower, and my leaves. And I'm going to put some adhesive right here on the left side of my flower. Put a couple of pieces because I'm going to stick the leaves on the left side. Let me grab my, you know what, let's put this on first. So on this one, I'm going to have it hanging over the side a little bit. So where that Y is, I'm going to keep my finger there so I can remember what side it is. And I'm not going to put adhesive all the way to the end, okay? Because I don't want any adhesive hanging over the side of this. And then I'm going to put this kind of near the bottom, but over the ribbon some. There we go. I think that's pretty good. I'm just going to put on lightly again, just in case I want to move it later. Bring in my flower. And I'm going to put, it's going to be laying right about here. And I want my leaves to kind of be down here. Okay, so I've got one there. Still have some adhesive here, so I'm going to grab the other leaf. There we go. So they're both like this. So that's what you want your flower to look like. Now I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. So I'm going to put dimensionals over the leaves just a little bit, making sure some of it is still on the flower. And that will keep those attached onto the flower even better. And do another one here. And you know what? That's probably enough. You know what? I didn't push that down too hard. So I'm going to move this over a little bit and get more in the middle. But that should hold that down with no problem. Going to take these off. And then I'll put the flower on here. Trying not to, and I made sure only the leaves are going to hang over because I don't want that dimensional hanging over either. So make sure this is kind of angled the way you want it. There we go. And we'll put that Ghirardelli in. And it is all ready to give to your friend for their birthday. Now I'm going to bring in my original quick to show you how dark the flower is if you don't stamp off. It still looks really pretty, but I wanted it to match the card. And let me bring that back in. So here's the card that goes along with it. So either way looks just fine. Let me see if I've got those in the, yeah, I do. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you'd like to stamp along with me again, make sure to click on the subscribe button below. And then when the little bell icon pops up, click on it and select all. That way YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video. Now, if you live in the United States and do not have a demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours. And I'd also love to send out your first catalog to you. This is the new annual catalog starting May 2nd. Just click that contact me link below in the video description and send me your mailing address and I'll get one of these mailed out to you right away. So these projects one more time. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'd love to hear from you too. If you have any questions, just comment below. If you want to have any comments about the card, I'd love to hear from you. And also likes work too. I just really loved making these projects for you and I hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoy making them. So I will see you next week, and make sure that you click, I forgot to tell you this at the beginning, make sure you click on that blog post link also, not just to get the dimensions and the supply list, but also to join the rest of the blog hop. There's some other ladies that made some really neat projects, and I don't want you to miss out on those. Okay, well, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.